My brothers and sisters, I don't want to be that preacher that is just reading from books and just saying whatever you need to do, because that is not something that I can do. I don't call myself a dragon preacher, I call myself a dragon witch, the one that preaches over dragons, the one that is trying to explain to you what happened inside of my spiritual path. And maybe it can help you, the experiences that I had that can help you. I'm not trying to say what you need to do, what you have to do, because explaining about the dragon's path is difficult, because you cannot go into details. And that is something that I would love to share with you, my brothers and sisters, something that I already shared, but still to this day baffles me. A lot of things happened inside of my dragon's path. Things that showed me that everything that I did, that whenever I followed the dragon, was real. It was not in my head. It was a real experience. And I had a lot of real experiences inside of my dragon's path. One of them is something that happened to my mother and my sister. And the way how I, wished for them to go to hell. I mean, that is eventually what happened. So my brothers and sisters, first you have to know there is a dragon that I worship very much. And this dragon is very much well known inside of books and in cultures, in different kind of cultures. And that dragon is called Leviathan. Leviathan that I call the guardian of the gates, the guardian of the lights, the swimmer of the darkness inside of the void, the one that protects the waters and the ones inside of the oceans. This is the dragon that I worship. Leviathan, and I love him very much. Even in the beginning of my path, I was so skeptical of everything that happens, but I am very much convinced that whatever I did, that moment, whenever... Let me explain this to you, my brothers and sisters. I loved my mom when I was a child, very much. We were close together. But later on, she became very selfish and only cared about herself, her own life. It was like a massive midlife crisis that she had. But she left me behind. And from the moment that she left, I was devastated. I was crying, my brothers and sisters. My heart had a scar. It was broken. And I sat down in front of the dragon altar that you see in front of you. And I wished for her to see the light again, but eventually also wished for her to see the darkness, because I was so angry and sad at the same time. I wished for her to see the darkness and eventually see the light again. But this ceremony that I just did, I didn't even know it was some kind of a ceremony, and that is how dragon magic works. That is how it works. It comes from your feelings, from the deepest of your heart. Whenever your heart is scarred, whenever it's broken like this, that is how dragon magic works the best. And I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize that. So the tear that fell in front of this dragon altar was heard. And I'm convinced that this was heard by Leviathan, one of the dragon gods that I love so much that I'm convinced that he's always with us. The guardian of the gates, the guardian of the dragon gates, my brothers and sisters. He's a guardian that stands and protects the dragon realm. This is the dragon that is always guarding us, protecting us over all of the dragons. So she told me that whenever she was because later on she became a drug addict, alcohol addict, and she was put inside of a mental institution. And so yeah, the things that I heard from her, because it was just insane, everything that she said. But there is one thing that remained with me, and I even wrote it down in my book of Dragon Shadows, because it gave me the chills. That she and my aunt, because you can say, yeah, she was filled with drugs and alcohol. Well, not at that moment. And also my aunt was with her. My aunt and my mother stepped inside of an elevator. And there was a man already inside of that elevator. they both stepped inside of it, and this man was start to ask questions to my mom if she still loves her children. I mean, who asks that? Whenever you meet a strange person inside of an elevator, he was asking her if she still loves us and how it's going, if it's improving. If I mean, the things that he asked her were very very personal that he knew. And my aunt found it so strange. My aunt is extremely Catholic, and she had this bad feeling about him. And she was, I mean, she found it strange that he was always asking questions. He looked like an everyday man. But when the elevator doors went open, he disappeared out of nowhere, vanished. And I am very much, you know what dragon gods are, all of them. They are great shapeshifters. They are amazing shapeshifters. And I am convinced how she described it, everything that he asked to them, that my mom and my aunt were the one that saw Leviathan in human form. I am so convinced of that. Because dragon gods, they can come into your life in human form or even in the form of an animal. That is how dragon gods can go in front of you. And to my sister, now that was actually something different, because that is actually not that different, because I love my sister still to this day. But, I went vegan. I've told you many times, I went vegan inside of my dragon's path. Because dragons are wise and ancient beings, and whenever you have a choice of not killing, I make the choice of not killing, because dragons are wise and they have compassion, and those are the teachings of Quetzalcoatl, the one of the dragon gods that I worship so much. But my sister, at the same time, instead of being vegan, she became a butcher, together alongside with her husband. Of course, I tried so hard my best to respect that, but it was actually difficult for me to respect that. But in her eyes, I always respected that decision. And whenever she came to me, to my house, I was out of a job. I didn't have a job. I was still searching for a job at that moment. I had a lot of financial troubles at that moment. A lot of it. And she came to me with all of her stuff that she bought, expensive stuff. And with all of her children, she showed me the most useless things that you can even imagine. And I saw how much it costs, and she was actually bragging with this because of how much she deserves from her butcher shop. And I was not devastated at this moment. I was in rage, but I couldn't show it to her. I was in a bubble of rage. And that, my brothers and sisters, once again, if it's such an explosion of emotions, this is the moment whenever your dragon will take actions. Because I have a second dragon altar over there, and I was sitting in front of it just like I'm sitting here. And I was not really asking the dragons, but dragons hear you. They hear you whenever something is wrong. And I was exploding when no one saw it. And just the same as my mom, she also went into addiction, lost her job, and she was inside also, once again, in such an institution, but she was on the brink of dying. Just as my mom, she was on the brink of dying because of her alcohol addiction. And I felt bad, very bad, because somewhere I wished that. And I'm sorry, my brothers and sisters, but I have to explain to you how it went. I cannot leave something like this behind. It's so important to say, whenever you do dragon magic like this, there are going to be consequences. And that eventually also happened whenever my sister, but she came out of it. She came out of this addiction, and she went immediately vegan. She also became a witch like I am, like I was. And that is what I wanted from her, that she became herself. Even she closed her butcher shop, went vegan, became a witch. A different kind of witch, but still a witch. And I was so happy to see her because I always felt that this is the real she. This is my real sister. And I was loving it. So my mom, still to this day, in order to make it up, she still drives me to my job. She still provides me many things. I mean, as also my sister as well. I still need them so much, and I love them so much to this day. It was like Leviathan brought them back to me the way how I wanted this. But in order to do so, they needed to see the darkness first. I'm so much convinced that my aunt and my mother saw Leviathan in human form. If I'm saying this to anyone, they declare me crazy. I know how that sounds. How you see a dragon god, the one of the void, in a human form, but he disappeared inside of that elevator just as fast as he appeared inside of this elevator. Saying things to my mom and aunt, only they know. And they were just like dumbstruck with this. How could he know everything so much? And always with a smile on his face. Always so, yeah, he was so, yeah, into them. I mean, knowing what if they make progress inside of her healing moment. I mean, that immediately and the things that she said eventually, what she later on saw in that elevator, because she later on she was a long time away from drugs and alcohol, but she saw in that people that already died, people that from our region, people from TV that already died 30 years ago, that she saw in that moment, in that, it was like she was stepping with one leg inside of the void, wherever Leviathan rules. And the things that she said, that she even saw her mother, that was dead for 35 years, my grandmother, that whenever it seemed for her that she helped her going away from this void, that Leviathan allowed this so that she could go back to me. My brothers and sisters, these are one of the many things that I experienced inside of my dragon's path. Many things happened, many things that I cannot avoid saying. Yes, I follow the dragon, and it's very powerful. It's so powerful, my brothers and sisters. And it's not just a plaything. That is what I want to explain to you. The dragon's path is not a plaything. It's not like a role-play game, epic fighting, whatever, Aragorn situation, Lord of the Rings. No, this is every single day life. And the dragon is by your side, and you are extremely powerful. And every time your dragons are hearing your screams. And whenever they hear your screams, they will aid you, they will help you, they will protect you and guide you. These are the dragons by your side, your guardian angels. And Leviathan, Quetzalcoatl, Tiamat, Fafnir, these are the dragon gods that are protecting you so much. My brothers and sisters, this is an explanation of, the many things, why I'm no longer a skeptic to this. From the first moment, I accepted the dragon, but 100% I was still asking myself questions. And that is also something that you need to do, because we are not a religion. We are not with a straightforward idea or with straightforward laws. No, it is something that you need to find out. And also need to find out how powerful you truly are, with the dragons by your side and the dragon awakened within yourself.